Welcome to BS session 119. We talk a big game about going fast and not sucking. We should probably ask someone how to actually do it.
This right here has the ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, ballistically speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
Well, there's our music intro. Our music intro.
You sound kind of bitter that it's ours.
Yes.
Well, I'm a little bit bitter that we've had a license to use it for 3 years, and now YouTube decides to start taking down our videos that have it. Seems a bit fishy.
Did you get a response out of them?
Negatory, good buddy. They have 30 days to respond.
Wow, how nice for them.
Yeah.
That's bankers hours.
So for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, YouTube has decided that the music intro that we paid a license to use, YouTube has decided that that is copyrighted content, and they've started demonetizing all of our videos. They haven't taken any down. Apparently it's copyright, but they haven't taken any of our videos down. They're just demonetizing them. So
right after 119 sessions and how many other videos and whatnot seems legit.
It's a new AI feature they've employed in their monitoring and editing.
Wow, that would certainly make sense, wouldn't it?
So tell us, Derek, what's our alternative? I think you had a good
alternative is I know a really good Ukrainian band. We can get the accordion, this cymbale, the trombita, and we can get some nice polka intro music. I'm telling you, royalty free, copyright free. So
no,
yeah,
no,
yes,
no.
Yes.
Let me think for a second. No.
Yes.
No.
Tristan,
No.
what do you say to accordion?
I've heard some pretty awesome accordion before. Like it.
Tristan, you're not helping.
He doesn't have to. He just has to settle a tie.
Delete.
Yes.
Yeah, bring it down a notch. Bring it down a notch.
Yes.
Oh man, look, JR starting to show off right. Sterling Arms International, super proud to be one of the sponsors of both the Ballistically Speaking podcast and Trysten Routledge.
No, if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is.
He even hyphenated your name. We didn't even bother to hyphenate your name on our intro or our thumbnail, and JR's just getting it done. And also now I just can't take anything JR says seriously because he's supporting Derek's accordion idea. Look, if we're using accordion, we are pooling our money and we're getting Weird Al Yankovic to write it.
Oh, there you go.
That's the only accordion music that I will accept.
I know a guy on a budget.
You know a guy on a budget.
Like, hey, YouTube grind doesn't pay very much. We've said that before.
Yeah, we have said that before. Yeah. Wow.
Speaking of saying stuff, well, how about we talk about some of our sponsors?
Should we say?
We got a number of them hanging around here in the chat.
Yeah, we got several of them, which is nice to see.
Awesome.
Who's starting? Who's starting it out?
I'll start it off the top. We have call sign 66, Canada's best rifle training. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course now at callsign66.ca and follow them on Instagram at callsign66 and on Facebook at slee/s66.
And we're also brought to you by Ribstone Gunsmithing, craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm. Oscar also has a new book out titled Rust Bluing in the 21st Century. Find it on Amazon.
Super cool. Go for
Excellent.
it, Kurt.
All right. March Scopes Canada, the Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes, has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Niza at marchscopes.ca.
And Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Check out all the fine competition rifle scopes, red dots, and binoculars at apexoptics.co. And just a quick note, Apex is tariff proof. Canadian orders and international orders ship from the Calgary warehouse, and the American orders ship from Texas, just for all peoples, because
Straight from the
we
warehouse.
are the world.
Oh,
We are all family.
Somebody record this quick for our intro.
I'll tariff you and you tariff me. I'm not going to finish that line.
Yeah. However, what will take you to the finish line, however, is EM Precision Rifles in Vegreville, Alberta, building Canada's finest precision rifles. Find Shane and Steve on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca.
And we're also brought to you by Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
Odell Engineering is with us again tonight. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergara rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up on Instagram, Flakebook, and on their website at odellengineeringltd.com.
You notice they're not on X? I got news about that.
I do.
Do you guys know what happened with X today?
No.
What happened?
Elon Musk sold one of his companies to one of his other companies.
Okay.
XAI purchased.
Y now?
Well, he's got a new AI business, XAI. Well, XAI just bought X. So XAI now owns X. And Elon owns both. Okay, maybe I'm the only one who cares about that news. We're also brought to you by Sterling Arms International, home of the R18 Mark III. It better come back to Canada, you fucking people out east better vote right. And the R9. Contact them at sterlingarms.com. Look out for the R9 arriving to a store near you very shortly. Oh, well, sorry, this is outdated. They are in stores sometimes. They are selling as fast as they can get them into stores. So my advice is to contact some stores and see how you can get yours and time it right so that you can get one, because they're great rifles.
They are.
And they're leaving stores as quickly as they can get them there.
And speaking of the R9, we have a guy here that is probably the most professional operator of the R9. We have Trysten Routledge here. Trysten
Howdy.
is a multiple-time national champion skeet competitor and speed steel challenge. Kind of introduce yourself there, Trysten. Tell us what you do, what shooting sports you do, and whatever else you feel like telling us.
Well, I suppose, yeah, my ultimate passion is anything competitive with a firearm. So, I'm a 3-time national champion in Olympic Skeet, 13-time national champion in Steel Challenge. I have 32 national records to my name right now. I enjoy competing in basically every sport that I can get to a match that in which it's offered.
Mhm.
I'll do IDPA, I'll do IPSC shotgun, I'll do precision rifle, silhouette rifle, and I've competed in every discipline of shooting sport shot with a shotgun.
Damn.
I like shooting.
I like shooting.
I feel inferior now.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, in my life, ever would I have had the time to do anything like that? How does that accomplished? You don't have wife and kids.
No. It's so I don't drink and I don't do drugs, and my friends are all shooters. So, shooting is the social event.
Mhm.
So basically what you're saying is you're fucking smart and you just set your life up right.
Right. Goddamn,
I try
man,
my
you're
best.
getting a chapter in my book.
Mhm.
All the shit that old me should have told young me.
Get gun friends and don't get married.
That's
Mm.
it.
Is
right after you get snipped.
so is it only shotgun? Or well, no, it's not only shotgun, but primarily shotgun that you're competing in.
So my most serious sport is Olympic Skeet. That's sort of where I'll travel to the most countries to do and so on. But I've been expanding my competitive horizons quite a bit in the last few years. Steel Challenge started off as sort of a side hobby, and then I just got really good at it, and now it's a lot more serious. I have several sponsors in it, and I'm actually for 2025, I'm #1 in the world for PCC.
Oh wow.
Ooh, good for you.
Okay.
It's turned into something serious, but skeet is my main thing.
So I hear a rumor you picked up competing at a fairly young age. So
So I started when I was 17. And basically I just picked up a shotgun and gave it a try. And then fairly shortly thereafter, I ended up going to university in the United States, and I competed because I wanted to shoot. And I ended up competing for my university throughout the collegiate circuit. So, 17, fairly reasonable age, I guess, to start shooting. I would have liked to do it earlier, but that's when I did.
Yeah.
And how old are you now, Trysten?
I'm 28 now.
So you've only been shooting for 11 years.
Yeah.
Geez, that's something else, hey?
Lots of practice.
Obviously take to it pretty naturally, though. Like, obviously practice has to be involved, but I mean there has to be a natural affinity for there as well, right?
I suppose so. I mean, I think it's guns have always made sense to me, like the mechanics of shooting, and it's just pretty. It just feels natural, feels right whenever I'm doing something with a firearm. So I do suppose there is a natural component to it.
What did you do before you picked up guns? Like, did you do other sports like in your earlier teens, or did you continue to do other sports after you started shooting?
Yeah, so my whole life I've been a passionate golfer. I still golf, and no, and I absolutely love that. I was pretty serious into Taekwondo when I was like a teenager. I got
Good for you.
my black belt when I was 12, which was a fun
Sounds like
experience.
Taekwondo.
Yeah.
Aren't
Which
they just ribbons?
It's basic, break boards and memorize some forms and do a lot of push-ups. But
yeah, you know what though? It's still a great thing for kids to be involved in. Absolutely.
yeah, no, it is absolutely, and it teaches you discipline. It teaches you competitive spirit. It was my introduction to Olympic sport, actually.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So going back to you could there's a collegiate skeet league, and does that exist only in the United States, or is there any of that in Canada?
So my understanding is there is the beginning. There are the beginnings of that in Canada. It's quite big in the U.S. When I was doing it, the collegiate nationals would have about 1,000 shooters in attendance.
Jesus Christ.
Across every discipline of shotgun. So it was American trap, American skeet, sporting clays, 5-stand, international skeet, international trap. And so it was a fairly big event. You'd have to compete in every discipline if you were going. So it was really something.
So if you're going to every discipline, is it you just bring one shotgun, or can you bring like a caddy's bag worth of different firearms?
Do you have a golf bag? I think I'll use the 9-iron for this.
That's why his two sports are golf and shooting. You can use the same bag.
Exactly. A lot of that was accomplished by just choking your gun differently. Some people had multiple guns, but the overwhelming majority of the time, somebody had like a 30-inch barrel, and then they would change chokes between disciplines.
Would they run the sub-caliber inserts at all, or?
Sometimes, some of the American skeet shooters would do that. They'd run tubes. It was, although at the collegiate nationals, actually, if I remember correctly, they provided the ammo for you. I mean, we paid for it, but it was a prescribed ammo sponsorship thing. So a lot of the time, you were restricted to specifically, Winchester 1200 ounce and an eighth, 8-shot for whatever event.
Was that an effort also to keep things as equal as possible across the field of shooters?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
ammunition is in shotgun a bit less of a concern in terms of competitive variance, especially at the international level, because it's hand loads are actually prohibited in competitive shotgun, so everybody's using factory loads. So generally, yeah, like there is a factor of fairness to it, but it's most of it was probably sponsor based.
It's funny you talk about hand loads and talking about ammunition. One time, quite a few years ago now, I was given an apple crate full of an old trap shooter's hand loads.
Did you say an apple crate?
Yeah, shut up. I know what you're going to say next. You just shut your fucking mouth. Okay, an apple box.
When was the last apple crate made on the planet? Was it the 20th century yet, or was that still the 19th century?
In some cultures, that's still a skilled trade. Okay.
Was it made of real wood?
Apple crate making?
I misspoke. It's actually a cardboard box. I was trying to jazz up the story a little bit.
I'm sorry. Well,
you
please
ruin my cheese.
Don't let me ruin your flow. I'm sure it's not too late. Carry on.
Anyways, there's some hot stuff in there. My boys like shooting shotgun, and when I take them out, I'm like,
yeah,
you don't take from that box over there. That's Dad's box.
Howitzer loads.
Yikes.
Apparently, back in the day, reloading was a big thing for shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it still is for the American sports, like American Skeet, American Trap. Most people still hand load their stuff.
I found my way into
the average competition.
Pardon?
How many rounds are you going through in the average competition?
So in the American sports, typically it's 100 rounds per category. So in sports where there are gauges, there's 100 for 12 gauge, 20 gauge, 28 and 410. So you're doing 400 shells in a competition. For the Olympic disciplines, it's the course of fire is 125 targets, and then there's an additional 60 target final for the top 6 shooters after the first 125.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a good lot.
Oscar also chimes in, flying with enough shotgun ammo well for a competition that large would probably be a problem as well. So having ammo there is easier. Yeah, having a dedicated suitcase for ammo wouldn't probably be favorable.
A crate, maybe.
So that's actually really interesting.
Like an apple crate.
You bring up a good point. Airlines. So technically, you can bring 5 kilograms of ammunition with you. I've heard mixed things about whether or not it's 5 kilograms gross explosive weight or 5 kilograms of shells. So that's a very different number.
Yeah.
But the general rule is 5 kilos of shells, which is not enough to do training and a competition. So pretty much universally, you have to buy ammunition when you get to the venue.
Wow.
That's probably better policy anyway.
What kind of are you paying retail for these things? You paying wholesale for them?
Substantially above retail at big competitions.
Really?
Of course.
That's actually been a bit of a sore spot for a lot of competitive shotgunners, is being gouged on ammo when they go to matches.
Well, I can't imagine why.
Yeah, like in Azerbaijan at the World Championship in particular, it was 22 euros a box, and we needed about 700 shells to accomplish the whole competition.
Oh my god!
We were closing in on $1,000 in ammo and targets, closing in on $1,000.
That's insane. And that's now. Are you paying for flights and accommodations and that sort of thing yourself as well?
Yeah, so Canadian shooters are. Some federations are fully funded. In Canada, you are out of pocket for that sort of thing.
Wow, that's crazy.
So you're saying if I show up with a van full of shells outside a competition
and sell them for 21 euros 50 per box.
You would sell out in 10 minutes. If you showed up with a van and sold ammo at retail, you would sell out on day one.
Nice.
But would they let you in? Now that's the real question.
Probably not.
They wouldn't like that.
When I shoot in Cyprus, like Cyprus has like 4 Olympic level ranges within a 45-minute drive of each other.
Mhm.
So I'll be like the competitions in Larnaca. I'll just drive half an hour to Nicosia and buy ammo there for €7 a box, and then come back.
Compared to 22, good God,
Yeah,
that blows my mind. That blows my mind. Like all of you guys
Yeah.
must have like Bruce Wayne level inheritances to be able to do this.
there's some funding. It's really just most people have fairly substantial levels of private wealth in the sport.
I thought you were going to say levels of private debt.
Well, that too, depending on who you are. Yeah.
Let's
I
be honest,
mortgaged my
it's the
future
shooting
for it.
sports.
A long
Yeah.
time ago.
What's that?
That's-
High end over unders are cheap apparently.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly have a large price range.
Mhm.
I guess this is historically kind of like a nobleman's sport, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it is. Especially, once you get
Europe.
into Europe and particularly the Middle East.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Sorry, you said the Middle East. Is there a large following for skeet in the Middle East?
Yeah, it's pretty popular. Actually, the guy who won the 2004 Olympics was the Sheikh of Dubai, Ahmed Saeed Al Maktoum. So he was like at one point, I think, or even now, he's the richest royal in the world. And he won the Olympics in 2004 for double trap.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
That's some
So they like
interesting
it there.
competition.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Tell him his town is kind of neat next time you
Mm.
see him.
Yeah. It is like the ranges in the Middle East are really something. Like the one in Doha in Qatar. Basically, somebody wrote a blank check and told someone who knew what they were doing to just build their dream range. And it's just perfect. I think they built it next to a Formula One circuit on the same budget. So
On the same
And the
budget.
ice rink.
yeah.
That's
As
crazy.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar chimes in. At least he could
Yeah,
afford the training.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
We'll see
especially
how
if you're
long
shooting
that
doubles.
lasts, though. I've heard that Dubai is all but run out of oil. So we'll see how many more Olympics he shows up to.
Well, everybody knows we've passed peak oil around the world. Now it's doomsday.
Yeah.
Well, I think Dubai actually has, though. That's what I understand anyway. Not like I'm some sort of OPEC insider or anything, but that's what the I hear. Anyway,
They've just all been resting on their laurels. Everybody's
Yeah,
too
they're
rich
about
and
to-
shooting
they're
trap
about
to
to-
go and explore, do more exploration and
they're
drilling.
going to tap some more
That's right.
in the next couple of years.
Time to get to work,
Did
guys.
we ask Oscar's question for him here? He was asking the collegiate nationals
yeah.
didn't shoot sub-caliber skeet. I don't even know what that means.
When I did it, no. It was just the 12 gauge event. You could shoot a sub gauge in that event if you wanted, but it was essentially open to any
What is a sub-gauge?
category. So the 20, 28, and 410 gauges.
Okay.
An American skeet. It's a typical American skeet match. It does consist of 100 of each gauge, and typically people's favorites are usually 28 or 20 gauge.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why
but yeah,
28 and 20?
they're softer, much more pleasant to shoot. Very low
Just makes it
recoil,
easier to
very-
go faster.
It makes it easier to shoot and keep your focus. You don't really get tired as fast when you're shooting the sub gauges.
Mhm.
410 is when you really have to focus, though, because it's a very unforgiving pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, the 28 still provides a good enough pattern that people will run, perfect matches all the time with it.
Interesting.
So when you say a perfect match, you mean every single clay is hit.
Yeah, 400 for 400
Jesus.
And how often is that happening?
every match. Every serious
Just-
match, like if you've got like a state championship or bigger.
Yeah, that's some good shotgun shooting out.
Yes. Forgive. I think I speak for all of us. We're not super in tune with the shotgun world, so we may be asking some.
I kind of am.
Yeah.
Well,
Some,
then why are you
basic
sitting there
questions.
quietly? Why don't you ask
'Cause
some intelligent questions?
Yeah. No
Wait.
shit, Mike.
Because you guys are learning. This is fun for everybody.
Okay.
So yeah. So what does so then what does the like who do the podium finishers look like? What does those scores look like?
So in the when I shot in university doing the American disciplines, I haven't shot an American discipline in probably 7 years. But back when I did it, everyone was clean. So like at US Nationals, I ran a perfect score, and so did 14 other people. And we were the tie-breaking shoot-offs lasted longer than the competition.
Oh, no
Okay.
kidding.
Go into that.
Because everybody just kept getting perfect scores.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Boring.
we went for 9 boxes in shoot-off.
Huh.
Explain what that means. I mean, I clearly know what it means, but just for the listeners, explain what that means.
So 225
You
shells
know.
before gold medal was established.
225 shells of perfect. And is this between like 2 athletes, 4 athletes, 10 athletes?
So it started with 15 people, and it took 225 shells to sort of whittle that down to one person.
Okay,
So when someone missed, they were out.
There were kind of like people dropping every round but it still took 225 rounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then it kind of becomes an endurance thing. Is that kind of the okay?
It's a pocketbook thing.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna throw this stage because I can't afford
Right.
any more 22-euro
I gotta get
boxes of
home
ammo.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I'm gonna have to hitchhike my way back home.
But it's interesting because contrasted with the Olympic stuff, missing is much more common because the targets are much harder to hit.
Okay.
So in American Skeet, if you don't run a perfect score, you just go home. Like if you miss a target, you're out. In Olympic Skeet, you can miss like in some cases 4 or 5 targets at a world level match out of 125 and still make the final, which is the top 6.
Still 4 or 5. That's not that many.
No, it's not. It's
Out of
if you can
100,
if
yeah.
you can hover around a 24 out of 25 average on any given round, that you're in the top 1% of world level competitors, like top 1% of national team people, basically.
Now, when
That
you
makes
talk
sense,
about
though.
target size, is that just the
Mhm.
size of the clay?
Yeah, so the clays are, I'm gonna get the number wrong, but they're something like 105 millimeters or something. And they're fairly similar between American and international, but international skeet, the targets are thrown substantially faster.
Okay, yep.
And there's also a random delay when you call for it, so it doesn't come out right away when you call. It could be up to 3 seconds after you call. Yeah.
That's a nice little variable, hey?
Anxiety-inducing variable.
No kidding.
So you've got a faster projectile that's coming out at a what's what I'm looking for? Less consistent
Random.
time.
Yeah. And the gun has to start in a low gun position. So or I can't assume that the audience knows, but in like IPSC shotgun, the guns have to start on your belt, like your waistline. It's the same thing in Olympic Skeet, where there's a stripe down around like your hip level, and the stock has to be touching that stripe, and it can only come up to your face once the target comes out.
So you have to fully shoulder it. How long were we talking, like half a second before the clay is gone, or 3/4 of a second, or?
So the average first shot timing for a world level competitor is between 0.55 and 0.65 seconds from the target being thrown.
So you're shouldering, getting your reasonable enough aim, and breaking the shot within just over a half a second.
Yeah.
Or you're not getting there.
Yeah, because there are pairs of targets. So if you're late on the first one, that puts you in a really, really bad place for the
Oh,
second one.
yep. That's
Right.
compounding. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
I don't like
kind
it.
of, no, sir, don't like it. It makes sense though when we're talking at like the world level, like that Olympic kind of level. It's always just matters of inches, isn't it?
It is.
It's pretty. It's in a lot of ways it's a lot more than I expected. I'm a little bit blown away at some of the numbers that you're telling us, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense. Like the levels that human beings are able to bring our pastimes to. At that
Yeah.
stage.
Any idea
Yeah,
what
it's sorry?
what the velocity of those clays are traveling at?
100 kilometers an hour.
Is that right? My God.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Birds
good.
don't fly that fast.
No, they don't. It's basically they change the rules every 10 years or so. They either make the targets faster or they do whatever. They don't like people shooting perfect scores in the
Mhm.
Olympic events. So as soon as people start doing that, they make it harder. And it's just been decades of that.
They don't want 225 round show offs.
Yeah.
That's interesting that they've kind of kept moving the goalposts in a sense. So
It makes
Yeah.
sense though. Yeah, it does make sense.
yeah.
So, well, and like other Olympic sports do that too. There's always like
Mhm.
minor tweaks to rules and small changes and that sort of thing. Because the when people focus on one thing and to hit that elite level, it's pretty crazy the type of things that we're capable of when we put that mindset to developing it. So it makes a lot of
yeah.
sense to me. So let's say at that kind of level, what is the spread between say like first and 10th place? Like is there a lot of people at the top of this game? Is it a deep pool, or is it kind of like, well, I was going to give an example that you guys wouldn't know of. Is it kind of like Hodger Gracie in jiu-jitsu or Rico Verhoeven in kickboxing, but you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, is it a very deep pool or is it a very shallow
Yeah.
pool at the top?
So it's actually a really good question. It depends on the venue. So the conditions play a lot into that. So if the conditions are really good, there's low wind and good visibility, you'll have quite a few people on the top end. Like you might get a 3 target separation between first and 28th.
Okay. Sorry,
But if
say
you're
that again.
yeah,
Between first and 28th, how much separation?
a 3 target separation.
3 targets. Wow. Okay.
So like the top guy might run clean 125, perfect score, and then 28th would have shot like a 122 out of
Yeah.
125.
Oh, wow.
And that's at like that's a particularly high scoring match. Like
Mhm.
the World Cup in Italy last year had results like that. But if you're going to like more unstable conditions, like if you got wind or rain or anything like that, that drops off really, really fast. Like you might have 5
Okay.
targets just across the top 6 people.
Mhm.
Oh, so some people are fair weather shooters, and amongst the fair weather shooters, it's a pretty deep pool, but not so deep amongst the all weather shooters.
Yeah, it's the typically to the top, like if there's a match with 120 people,
Mhm.
usually there will be a 4 target separation between first and 6th, and usually 5 or 6 between first and 10th,
Okay.
and then about 9 targets between the top 50% of the pool.
And then how many of the same names are you seeing? Let's say the top 28. Are they, is it the same names all the time in the same order? Is it the same names in a varying order? Like, how much differentiation is there? Like, is this kind of like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is at that level, is this the type of sport that anybody can win on any given day? Or is it like that top 28 is pretty consistently first, second, third, fourth, fifth, so on?
So the top, I would say the top 30 shooters in the world are fairly consistent, but their placement within that top 30 is sort of up for grabs. Anything's up for grabs at any given match. So somebody
Okay.
who wins a World Cup might place 15th on the next one.
Yeah.
So it's the top echelon of shooters in the world is generally the same, but their placement at any given match can vary quite substantially.
Well, shit, that sounds actually pretty good. Like from a spectator's point of view, if you've
Mhm.
got 28 people and like it's anybody's game out of 28 people on any given day, man, why they need to televise this shit? I'd watch it. Like
yeah,
there
well,
must be there must be some cliffhanger matches.
there are. I mean, the Olympics, for example, in order to go to the Olympics, you have to have earned a quota, which means first or second at a Pan Am Games or fourth or better at a World
Oh.
Championship, usually. So virtually everyone there has reached a podium or at least made a high level final at a World Championship type match. So any
Wow.
person there is capable of winning a World Championship.
Man, is this ever televised?
The Olympics are televised, and World Cups are televised on like Eurosport TV and stuff. It's not super
Okay.
common here.
Mhm.
ISSF TV has a YouTube channel, and they will stream all of their finals at whatever World Cup that's happening. The next one I think is it's either Lima or Argentina. But yeah,
Okay.
you can find them on YouTube, but for like actual cable television viewing, that's a European thing.
ISSF TV, International
Yep.
Shooting Sport Federation. There we go, right there. So,
Yep.
like the way that they televise this stuff is it pretty interesting to watch? Like, I'm kind of moving on to like the technical aspects of it, and I'm kind of wondering about the spectator aspect of it now.
So I'm gonna annoy some people, but the shotgun sports
Go
I
ahead.
think are fun to watch because you have reactive targets, you've got video replay, you get protests, you get coaches throwing water bottles and hitting cameramen, which has happened.
I love it.
Damn.
They have their very own Roger Federers. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I gotta start watching
the
Shotgun.
I know.
the shotgun events are quite fun. The rifle and pistol events can be a little dry.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, it's
the
Olympics shooting, right?
Yeah, they're just kind of standing there. It's
Yeah.
incredibly hard and it takes a lot of talent to do it, but it is not a
Yeah.
spectator sport.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Speaking of Olympic like skeet, I do believe it's got a deep history. Like the sport has been in the Olympics for a long time. Do you have
Since,
any like notes on like how it's evolved at the Olympic level? Like I know obviously like the 100-yard,
Yeah.
the 100-meter dash was like 20 seconds back in the day. So
Yeah, so shooting is actually one of the original Olympic sports. It was first competed in 1896 at the first Olympic Games, first
mm,
modern Olympia. And basically skeet has evolved substantially. I'll just kind of take more recent history just for comparison. Because back then they were using side-by-side shotguns, much inferior equipment. But
mm,
say the 1980s to now, where we're using more common equipment over under shotguns.
Whoa,
Yeah,
Oscar's not gonna like to hear that.
the the results have gotten they're a little bit different in that the course of fire was much easier back in the 80s. You weren't
mm,
shooting doubles on the harder stations and such. But essentially the shooters that exist now are the best shooters in the history of the world. Um,
Hmm.
like a top 50 world ranked shooter could dominate the Olympic Games in the 1980s.
Huh. And that's only like 45 years ago
Yeah.
at most. That's pretty crazy. And like, has technology improved that much since the 80s, or is it training that's
It's
really
training.
improved? It's the training.
Yeah, it's the guns are mainly the same. Like the Krieghoff K80 was designed in 1980 and it's still common at major competitions.
Are people
Perazzi's
still using ones that were
2000.
made in the 80s, or are they just using that design?
Yeah, there are some that are still kicking around from that period.
Hmm.
Sort of preference around barrel length and stuff has evolved over time. So generally they were 26 and 24-inch barrels back then, and now they're 30, typically 30-inch barrels.
Okay.
So you do find them, but it's much more common that they're just kind of sitting in someone's safe. They're not as commonly seen in competition, but they're the same gun.
Right. Interesting.
Are usually a lot of single bead, double bead, no bead.
So mine is what's called an Italian bead.
Okay.
Ooh, fancy.
I would agree with Oscar's comment there.
I would agree with that too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Athletics in general has just made leaps and bounds in the last 40 years. Yeah.
It's all doping.
It's on the rack there, but the you see a lot of double beads, but most modern custom-made shotguns lately have had Italian beads on them, where they're and what that is sort of a fiber optic that is a certain length, and it just gives you the element of alignment based on being able to see straight down the bead rather than stacking the front and rear beads.
Because I know some guys, like some will even run. I know some guys shoot; they'll run no bead, or they just want. It's a lot of personal preference, but I was curious what you were running.
Yeah, it is personal preference. You don't notice your bead after like a while. It's like if you pull it off, you'll notice it for the first like 100 shells or something, and then you just stop noticing it.
And you're not
Mardi Gras beads out there?
At the after
Sorry,
party,
my mind is drifting.
I'll bet those trap shooter or those shotgun shooters, period. I bet you those guys just party like animals.
So I've actually got a funny
earlier,
story
like,
for that.
what's that environment like? We've talked many times about around PRS and stuff like that.
I'll bet you it's just like booze and depravity everywhere. Isn't it?
So,
It is, Trysten, isn't it?
It depends on where you are. So I've got two examples.
Okay.
So first example I'll give was at the 2019 Pan American Games, there was alcohol served on the athletes' village. And the 2023 Pan Am Games, there was no alcohol served on the village for a reason. But
There was
a
baby boom
certain
the first
a certain US coach that will remain nameless ran up to our table, probably 14 beers deep, and was just like, "I love Canada," and just like it just ran off into the night.
Just tried to defect.
Yeah, and then another sort of funny thing that happened was at a world championship, same year actually. There's a gun company called Gamba, and they make very nice over-under shotguns. And they decided that a marketing campaign that they would go for would be to pay supermodels to walk around the venue, the competition venue, and hand out invitations to parties that evening. And it kind of became legendary. I don't actually know anyone who went to any of the parties because they did it rather inconveniently on day 2 of 3 of the match. So everyone had to be up at 8 o'clock the next morning to compete. So, but it stuff does happen. There are some stories.
We're no hockey players, but damn it, we do the best we can.
Yeah.
Too funny. So what is that general I guess environment like? Like I said, we talk lots about how the precision rifle community kind of is, where they're generally pretty welcoming and encourage. Yeah, exactly. Encourage young shooters and that to come out and they'll mentor a lot, all that kind of stuff. What are you finding in the circles you're running, Trysten?
I find it's pretty consistent across all shooting sports. Actually, one of the things I love about shooting as a whole.
Except
people love growing their sport, and people love introducing new people, and it can be intimidating. Except IPSC, yes. It can be really intimidating to start competing. For the shotgun sports, I'm trying to keep a straight face for shotgun sports. They're pretty welcoming. You will, like, if you were to go to Canadian nationals for example, every single person there would be overjoyed to have a new person joining the sport, and they'll walk you through everything, like the team, how to make the team, what the right guns are. Like it's a great community for that sort of thing.
As long as no one's wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah, politics generally takes a back seat, especially in the Olympic sports. We typically sign agreements that say we can't make political statements publicly.
So if for someone's going to want to start getting into shotgun sports, where would you tell them to start?
I would tell them to go to a competition if they can, if they live local to one. Go to a competition, either spectate or just jump right in and give it a try and talk to people. Anyone who has any questions can reach out to me personally on Instagram. I'm more than happy to give them locations of matches or comp dates or whatever. But yeah, just go to a competition, go to a venue in which the sport is practiced, ask questions, and just dive in and give it a try. And I would say, don't buy any kind of expensive shotgun until you've done that, until you've gotten into the game.
Whoa. So you're telling me money doesn't buy success?
No. Well, okay. Gun fit is important. Honestly, it is a smarter thing to do to put a $4,000 stock on a $2,000 gun than it is to buy a $6,000 gun from the factory.
Just for the fitment.
The gun fit is the overwhelmingly the most important thing. Yeah.
So Oscar,
basically, you need to know what you want before you. Yeah, you need to know what you want before you really dive in. Like it's good to have like a good reliable gun with a generic fit, but if you're going to dump 10 grand plus on a real competition shotgun, you need to really know what you're doing and you need to have it fitted professionally. That's really important.
Yeah, you personally, do you typically use a shotgun with more of a pistol grip to it? I asked just because your picture on the Olympic website has that.
I'll pull mine off the rack here. If I hopefully I don't make a huge mess. Yeah. So this is a glove grip.
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty slick, actually.
And it's fitted. It's fitted for my hand. And so this is really common at the hospital. My whole
your guns just fell down.
My guns just fell down.
You know what though? That's a hell of a nice. You got is that a WK or an MCR?
So I've got an R9 right here. That's the one.
Is that an R9?
I
didn't look at it close enough.
We'll talk about that shortly.
We'll talk about that. But I kind of knew that was going to happen too. I stuffed the Perazzi under everything because I didn't think I'd be grabbing it. But yeah, so this is a really standard stock that you'll see at a major competition.
That looks pretty slick.
Yeah,
I like it.
That makes me want to shoot an over-under, like just on aesthetics alone.
Oh, they're very pretty. Well, and when you get these made, you go to, in this case, you go to Italy, you stay there for like a week, and you get the gun made for you. And they'll take you into like a vault with all these wood blanks, and you select the wood blank that will eventually become your gun.
Wow.
Does it smell of like incense and old leather-bound books in that room?
It kind of does, actually. Well, it smells like very high-end mystery gun solvent, which is kind of a nice.
Do they call you sir all the time and wear expensive suits? But I'm asking is it like when John Wick arms himself before the big fight? Is that what that's what I'm envisioning right now, only with like sporting coats and over-under shotguns.
It's not far off the John Wick scene in the element of the people you're talking to are like 15th generation gun makers. Like they know what they're doing. And you can score a lot of points with them if you listen. If you just go in and say, I do this. This is the ammo I like. This is the sport I do. build me the perfect shotgun, and you just let them go.
Wow.
And
They
you
take
know,
the customers into that room and walk slowly down the line in front of the wood blanks. And when
And
one
it
starts
chooses you.
vibrating like this,
yeah,
that's the one. That's the
exactly.
one.
Yep.
I don't choose the
Big
gun. The
beam
gun
of
chose
light
me.
comes down.
Yeah.
So how many firstborn children need to be sacrificed in order to afford one of these?
So Parazzis in particular start. You could probably get into one for around $30,000.
Yikes.
Is that all?
And then and you can spend over $1 million on a shotgun if you want.
Wow. If you're the Sultan of Dubai.
Yeah, like there are guns in their showroom that are 700,000 euros, that are just sitting there for you to buy. Um,
And they're not even
But,
like fit
it-
to you. Or you
No.
would still pick your stock.
so those ones are yeah, so those are like floor models. So if you say I want that one, they'll just build one that's like that for you.
Holy crap cakes. So when you're getting that, you said that was fit specifically for your hand. How are they
Mhm.
doing that? Are they having you like grab a mold and then they go from there?
In some cases, yeah. You actually will grab like this molding plaster, and they'll take an actual mold of your hand. In other cases, you'll actually have a just a really, really experienced stock fitter kind of look at you
Mhm.
and just construct a gun that's accurate to within a millimeter anyway. It's spooky. It's spooky how good they are at fitting
The guy
guns.
says nothing the entire time. Looks
He
at your
bases,
hand.
he just
smells
bases it off of the
tastes it.
handshake when you walk through the
Yeah,
door.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
like
know what you want.
I remember the head gun fitter there, when I was having my gun built. I patterned it, and he looks at me, and he doesn't speak a lot of English, and he looks at me and he just goes, "Better is impossible." I was like, "All right."
And
Well,
you ate sausage this morning.
That puts it succinctly. If I would
Yeah.
walk in there, he's a limperist. We make him a sissy gun.
Yeah. It's quite an experience.
Wow.
And particularly in Italy, shotguns are treated like works of art. And actually leaving last time I was there, leaving at the airport, the police have to check your serial number before you get on the plane to leave. Guy opens the case and he sees that it's a Parazzi, and like the police officer, he just looks at it and goes, "Ah, Parazzi," and then just closes the didn't even check the serial number.
They aren't actually they don't care about security. They just want the satisfaction of seeing another Parazzi out the door.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
It's fun. It's an interesting world.
That's pretty cool.
You've sold me on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
yeah.
next 30K will go towards one.
It's my favorite thing that I own, but you
Mhm.
know, it better be.
Yeah, I would hope so.
You know, we missed a question quite a while ago, and I apologize
Okay.
to Ryan for that. But Ryan was asking, are release triggers still allowed at trap and skeet?
Yes, with an asterisk. So for anyone who doesn't know, a release trigger is pretty much what it sounds like. The gun will go off when you release the trigger rather than when you pull it. In the American sports, they are allowed, but you have to tell your RO, basically. You have to tell them that you have one, because they can be unsafe if the range officer doesn't actually know that you have one. In the
Or if
Olympic
you have a
sports,
heart
they are
attack
prohibited.
before you, yeah, okay. Sorry, in the European sports, you said?
So in Olympic sports, they're
In
prohibited.
Olympic sports, they're
but
prohibited.
yeah,
Because of the safety issue?
yeah, it's just because they are, because you're getting ready, you get ready to call for the target. The gun will go off. You're committed to firing a shot,
Yeah.
even if the target doesn't come out, right?
Right. So there's no with that type of trigger, there's no way to like
Listen,
break the action open or something and then let the trigger go. Like there's nothing like that.
It would be generally much safer to just let the round go off rather than trying to mess with anything.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to, well, like if I pull mine up here, like if you're pulling the trigger, empty gun.
Hang
If
on,
you're
hang on,
pulling the
hang on.
trigger and like the trigger's being pulled, you got to reach up here and you got to, there's kind of
Oh yeah,
some
in case
gymnastics you
you
got to
might
do.
let go. Yeah,
It's
that
just
makes
a lot
sense.
easier to just commit to the round going off. I don't shoot with a lot of people who have release triggers. I've never seen one have to get discharged that way, but that's typically what you would. It's the safer thing to do would be to just let it go into a safe direction.
I'm glad they called them release triggers, not something like dead man switches or something.
Yeah.
No, that was an old Remington model, the Widowmaker.
Yeah. I thought it was the SIG P320.
No, well, that's the new version.
Oh yeah, SIG really stepped in it recently.
No, they had a couple of bad years there between the 320 and the original Cross.
Yeah,
and what they should have said was nothing.
When they had to gaslight the entire shooting community.
Yeah,
shooting community, ICE, Department of Defense, multiple police departments.
Yeah.
Before Derek takes you off into R9 land, I want to clear something up.
Yeah.
You said earlier that a side-by-side shotgun is far inferior to an over-under. Explain that. I know Oscar's chomping at the bit here too. He's just sweating on the screen. I want to know.
So I will clarify that. It is if you are better personally with a side-by-side, then a side-by-side's better.
Naturally.
As a general rule, as applied to the population as a whole, the biomechanics and the sight picture are simpler with an over-under. That's really all it is. Because your barrels are operating on the same plane or the same a vertical plane rather than horizontal, the change of point of impact is negligible, and the sight picture, typically when you lose a target in competition, it's because the target kind of got lost in your barrel. And if you have two barrels up like this, it's much easier to lose a target in that sight picture than if it's just a single rib.
Yeah,
I gotcha. Yeah, I dare say Oscar is very good with his beloved side-by-side.
So that is something that's important. If you personally are better with a side-by-side, then take one all the way. There is no such thing as inferior or superior on the individual level.
Don't you go backpedaling now. You committed. You committed.
Yeah. On a general level, there is.
Actually, I think what he originally said was that people consider it to be. I don't think Trysten ever said that he believes it to be. I believe his words were people consider it to be inferior.
Why do you just want to argue with me, Chris?
Like, I'm just like, I'm trying to start some shit.
Crush my dreams daily.
Daily. I text him usually really like 4:30 in the morning. Just wanted to let you know as soon as you woke up, you fucking suck. Have a great day.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And, fuck off, Chris.
Go ahead, Trysten.
That's my friend Dan when I'm competing, especially in Steel Challenge. He's just like, I'm getting ready. He's like, all right, Captain Slow, let's go. Come on. And, if I mess up, he gives me a Snickers bar.
I'd fuck up all the time for his free Snickers bars.
Yeah.
Uke has a question for you here. He says, hey, Trysten, do you have a YouTube channel or Insta? You have an Instagram.
I do. Yeah, just my Instagram is Trysten_Routledge.
That's ROUTLEDG.
Correct.
Routledge.
Routledge. Yes. Trysten spelled it's already a super like Scandinavian name, but it's like the extra Y and ending it with EN is just like next level.
It gives you extra points when you compete in Germanic countries.
Yes. But yeah, I have an Instagram and I have the beginnings of a YouTube channel. I just started uploading stuff. The YouTube channel is called High Performance Insight, and basically the ultimate vision of it is to take experts from different sports and have them talk about the equipment and mechanics. Right now it's just me shooting different sports, but we'll get there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely cool.
All right.
Oscar chimes in. My opinion is that 98%, he clarifies that 98% of over-under shotguns are built for target shooting, and 98% of side-by-sides are not. So there's a lot
That's a great
more to
point.
do with how the guns are stocked and balanced typically,
Okay.
not barrel configuration.
Cop-out answer.
That
Total
is no, that
cop-out
is a
answer.
great point though.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean,
Because a lot of
excellent point, Oscar.
Yeah, a lot of side by
Good
sides
recovery, Chris.
will come fitted with like English stocks, which are not ideal for competition, but they're great for pheasant hunting.
Mhm.
And a lot of over under shotguns are sort of really specifically optimized for competition. I mean, you'll get that in the IPSC and everything else too. Like you're not going to daily carry if you're American. You're not going to carry an open gun, a major power factor open gun every day. You know, it's just different philosophies, right?
Mhm.
I bet some goons do though.
I'm sure they do.
Hey everybody, I'm a super
Well, yeah,
nerd.
but
Look at
those
me.
goons also end up on YouTube because they're dumb
Yeah.
enough to film it when the police show up, thinking that they're the correct ones, the sovereign citizens.
Yeah, I know my rights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The I know my rights people. Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of goons, what is speed steel? And tell us more about it. So
It's drag racing with guns, basically.
that's
Wait a minute, because what
Extra
the image you
wheels?
just put into my head sounds fucking awesome. But I'm
It
sure
is
it's not
awesome.
what you're talking about.
So contrary to like IPSC or IDPA, you're not, with the exception of one stage, you're generally not moving on the clock. You are in a shooting station,
Mhm.
and there are 5 steel plates in front of you, and one of them is designated as the stop plate. Your job is to shoot that one last. Otherwise, everything's up to you. Timer goes off. Your job is to hit all 5 plates as fast as possible.
Mm.
You know, it's you can get some wicked meltdowns, you know, where people are like targets are 18 by 24 inches, big rectangles at 7 yards, and the best shooters in the world are missing them because they're trying to go so fast.
Really?
Yeah.
And
So
when
it's
you're
a good
talking
way to make a lot of noise.
when you're
Oh, yeah.
talking fast, define fast.
So a world-class time on one of the faster stages for 5 targets, 1.2 seconds.
See, Oscar knows the image that
Yeah.
you put in my head. I was imagining like alcohol fueled funny cars, but you're allowed to try to shoot your opponent's tires out halfway down the strip.
That'd
or
be fun
something.
too.
Like mailbox
be-
baseball.
Oh
but
God, we
put
need
the
to
bats
invent that
away.
sport. That would be amazing.
I feel like the cowboy action crowd would be open to something like that.
Next competition, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah. Join us next month in Daytona.
So with the speed steel, is it you have to hit them in a certain
Yeah.
order, or is it as long as you get that stop plate?
Yep, it's there are orders that are generally done and like agreed upon as faster, but there's no rule that says you shoot it in a certain order.
Mm. There's some logic to it.
Yeah, like the general logic is that you want the fewest number of directional changes. So you want to shoot as many targets as you can without stopping and restarting your gun. That's kind of the approach.
What kind of gear are people running for Steel Challenge exactly? As like rifle only, pistol only, center fire, rim fire. What's the deal?
So there are 14 divisions
Oh wow.
in Steel Challenge, encompassing basically every USPSA centerfire handgun division, and additionally you have rimfire pistols, both optics and iron sights, rimfire rifles with optics and iron sights, and then pistol caliber carbines with both optics and iron sights. So it can be it basically. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, continue your thought.
If your gun can shoot quickly, there is a division in Steel Challenge in which it is legal.
Interesting. So a lot of 1022s that are just done right out to the end.
Oh yeah, a lot of really built 1022s. I've got one behind me actually, and it will not actually take down my entire wall.
The wall's already fallen.
Exactly. So this is a kid super grade. The whole rifle weighs about 3.5 pounds, but the patent is a 1022, but not a single part of it was made by Ruger.
Good.
Good.
The spirit is
nothing
there,
wrong
just
with
not
that
any
one.
of the parts.
Yeah, exactly. It is a 1022 in form and not even really function. Just a but yeah, 1022s are everywhere. And then the sort of Ruger Mark IV style of handgun is also everywhere. And then PCCs in Canada, the Sterling R9 is the player. And then in the US, you get a lot of like AR9s, particularly from JP and companies like that.
Yeah. So go into like obviously you shoot the PCC division for Speed Steel. Go into the R9 and what you've done to it in order to match your
Okay.
needs in that division.
So my R9, I have a fair bit to it. First thing is I put this MDT stock on it because gun fit is important no matter what sport you do. So I'm an absolute nerd to have it perfect. I want the gun to fit me exactly how I want. So I have this stock on it, and then being a bit of a nerd, working with my friend Ty, we found a way to get Trigger Tech triggers to work in R9s. I know for like YouTube rules, I'm not going to tell you how, but we did get it.
Yes.
We can guess.
Yeah. So the empty gun, from the original 8-pound pull, you're now looking at about 1.7 pounds. And other than that, I've got an optic on there. It's an Apex Fusion.
Lovely people, lovely optic.
Didn't you help design that reticle?
Yes, I had some say in particularly the reticle. I was very passionate about some of the features that this optic eventually had in its final production.
What's that like going through trying to pick a reticle, especially for that? Was it just I'm gonna draw a dot or?
So in steel, it's a lot of people like big dots, like 8 MOA or bigger. Just it's a very simple sight picture. Funny enough, I actually tend to use the smaller dot option on this one, but the usefulness of the reticle really comes out when you're doing more dynamic sports like IDPA, for example, where you then have one of the reticles includes a little chevron under the dot, and that represents your height over bore point of impact at 7 yards with a typical AR. And that's really helpful when you're trying to get those alphas and you're trying to go really fast. Not nearly as relevant in steel, because in steel you're zeroing by shooting into the berm. You're just like a screwdriver and you're just like zeroing while you shoot. But yeah,
I like that strategy. So
yeah,
how many rounds approximately have you put through the R9 since you've got it?
Probably. I think I've probably put about 6,000 rounds through mine now. Thereabout. So it's well broken in at this point.
Yeah.
I really like it. And I run it just as fast as any other PCC I've ever used. And one sort of unique thing that I've done to it that people might want to try is I've filled the buffer tube, because obviously the bolt does not reciprocate into the buffer tube, so this is just empty space. I filled the buffer tube with lead shot, so it gives me a sort of a fluid weight buffer in there, and it lengthens the recoil impulse so that the peak recoil force is significantly lower.
You've completely filled it with lead shot? Like it's not rolling around in there?
It's almost completely filled. There's maybe a 1/4 inch of play for stuff to like actually move and lengthen that
Which
impulse.
is how it's lengthening the recoil. Yeah, that's interesting. How does that change the sound?
Not too much. Sound is
No?
pretty much the same. The R9s have sort of a very interesting thing because of the barrel.
Yeah.
They ring.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
The barrel and the forend, there's a very
They're a
ringing
tuning
sound.
fork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
that shot fill, it's like a dead blow hammer for those that understand.
yes,
A
exactly.
dead blow hammer, because that's essentially what a dead blow hammer is a tube filled with steel shot. So that is
that's exactly what inspired me to do it, was a dead blow hammer.
Yeah. So in
What
terms
about
of
those,
a dead blow hammer.
yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Derek, you're gonna have to explain that now.
I mean,
What about
It's
these
so
mercury kills?
obvious now. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one. There's 1 out of 5 people on the show right now who don't know fuck all about fuck all. But I'm sure there's at least 5 or maybe even 6 listeners that also don't know fuck all about fuck all. So I have to point these things out so that they get explained for those listeners.
Yes.
One of them being my mother, another one being my brother. It's just my family doesn't know shit about shit, so you got to explain it for them.
Yes.
Poor Yuke's feeling left out here. He's telling us he hasn't been able to derail us once. We're so interested in listening to Trysten. So,
well, you know,
there goes our rating. Yeah,
there's our rating.
Yeah,
our suggestion box is going to be full now after this one.
Now I'm getting shit talked. It's a complete episode. I believe that Ryan is shit talking me here. Yeah.
The king of don't know shit.
So the magazines for the R9, I know a lot of people, like, initially when it debuted, and obviously we were part of that. A lot of people were caught up on the magazines. What's your opinion on them?
I personally really like the magazines. Stamped steel mags have a certain robustness to them that I really like, and mine do drop free now. So my gun is well broken in, and my magazines will drop free for me. When you first get the gun, they might not, but yeah, once the gun wears in, you shouldn't have any problems. A lot of people were that I've talked to were a little bit bothered by the MP5 magazine style. There's one thing that MP5 mags do over Glock mags that would make me actually prefer the MP5 platform, and they're double stack, double feed, so you don't need a speed loader. You just thumb them in, and it's just easy. Like it's
very easy.
It's easy mode.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely cuts down on the sore thumb or the need to buy a speed loader.
Yeah, it's not only like if you're used to loading. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you look at most of the PCCs, like the AR9s, not using the Colt magazines, but just the Glock mags, I think that weird angle just looks horrendous. And then when you look at the Sterling with the R9 and the nice curve to it, it's so much more aesthetically pleasing that it's a small detail that I appreciate.
It is very aesthetically pleasing. It looks like the platform was designed around it. Like it doesn't because Glock mags are very, as they should be, out of place on a rifle, right? They're pistol mags. But yeah, the MP5 mags, the steel construction is excellent. And yeah, the fact that they're double stack, double feed, that is just, for me, it's just awesome.
Was the ergonomics of the mag change? Was that was that much of a change? Are you used to it now, or do you have a preference for it now?
I'm pretty used to it. I would still prefer like an AR button because I can't really reach the button very easily. Like you kind of can, but you kind of you have to pivot a bit. Typically when I dump a mag, I push forward on the release from here just because that's pretty easy. But you know, if you're doing a sport where you have to retain your magazines, it is kind of nice to just come up with a spare mag and just drop the mag, rotate, and go in. So it can be worked around for sure. I don't think there's a specific disadvantage. It's really a personal preference thing. I prefer the AR drop, like the way an AR mag drops, but I'm also not doing a lot of speed reloading in Steel Challenge, so it doesn't really affect me.
Yeah,
Can I ask you about the Fusion that you've got mounted on there? I noticed
Yeah.
you've got a riser on the mount and you've got a cheek mount. How come you decided to do it that way?
So I really like to. So I do a C-clamp grip,
Yeah.
and I like to
Ah.
be able to see over my own hand when I'm
Yeah, you
shooting,
didn't.
so I can.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Oh, that's a really smart idea, actually. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like we're talking to somebody that knows what he's doing.
What was that? Is it deadpan hammer?
Dead
A
blow
dead blow
hammer.
hammer.
Yes.
I know.
Sorry,
but it really says a lot about what you guys actually think of me, that you thought that I was actually asking that question for real.
You got us.
Well, next week we'll go over the crescent wrench because that's like more than one tool.
Well, why is it called a crescent? What? Hey,
A
Mike.
crescent wrench?
I have never seen Mike on the show.
I'm here
Very
every
rarely.
Friday.
No, not you. The Mike that counts. Mike Scott from Sterling Arms.
Ah. Honored, I'm sure.
Honored, I'm sure. So talk to us about the PCC competitions you've been competing in.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like I said, my main thing is steel challenge, and I compete with my PCC pretty much at every competition I go to for that sport. And I've done it at the Canadian Nationals, and I've done it at the World Championship, the World Speed Shooting Championship. I was there last May, and at that match, it was I actually used a JP5 at that competition, but this year I plan to bring my R9 with me. It's pretty good. I really like competing at that level, and something that's nice in steel is because the stages are standardized. Your time is held equal with everybody else's time from anywhere in the world. So you're gaining world ranking and things like that. My dog is getting frustrated with me. I'll have to throw him out in a second. But
No worries.
You tell him to wait just 8 more minutes and you'll be good to go.
But yeah, basically, yeah. So when you're shooting in steel challenge competition, any kind of match that you're competing in, the scores are uploaded. If you have a USPSA membership, scores are uploaded, and then your times are held against everybody else from all over the world. So which is why I'm able to say that I'm currently the world number 1 in PC. Hi, buddy. Give me 30 seconds to throw him out.
Oh, all good.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
I might have to take up some disciplines here this summer besides PRS.
Yeah, like I said, I feel inferior.
Oh, I want to go hard on some shotgun sports this summer.
Would
We should do
highly
sporting
recommend
clays. I think all of us should go do sporting clays at one point.
Sporting clays is some of the most fun you'll have with a shotgun.
See? We should do it. We just need to find somewhere that has sporting clays set up.
The range just north of Calgary, Silver Willow, in the past, I don't know if they still do, but I hope they do. They had these buddy shoots where you were shooting in 2-man teams, and there were 4 targets in the air, and it's just go crazy. Like just everybody like shoots something, and so it just turns into
a shoot show.
Oh, that's
Sounds
crazy.
it sounds to me like
but
there should be alcohol
wait.
and banjos involved. What the heck was that?
Oscar says I'm in for sporting clays. So it sounds like we have a date this summer. Then
Yes.
Is what I'm hearing. So
If it's teamed, it's going to be what, youth versus wisdom.
Oh, boy. So I'm on a team all alone.
Yeah, I mean, I may be older than you guys, but you can't put me on Team Wisdom. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
Sporting
Also-
clays, for those that don't know, is it's kind of like golf, where you walk around, they'll have a 10 to 12 stages set up for you, and then they'll come from any random direction you could think of. They'll come rolling across the ground. You
Yeah.
can really mess with people setting up a sporting clays.
So the only
Oh, you
problem with
can.
it being like golf is the only thing I like about golf is driving the golf carts and drinking
Yep.
golf carts and crashing the golf carts. And that's not safe with guns.
We can do that after.
That's all relative, Chris.
Maybe you guys shoot. You bring me a golf cart and I'll get drunk in the golf cart while you guys shoot.
I have to say, Oscar probably has the truest statement in 2025 so far. He says, "Not sure I can reload fast enough to make up for Rooster as my partner."
Nice.
Amen.
That's fired.
I'm glad he's shit talking you and leaving me alone for once. I'm not even on his radar.
So Trysten, I have a question about speed steel. What is the athletic practice and skill in order to develop speed at hitting a target, or hitting a series of targets? What does that training look like? And how would you explain it to someone?
I would say it's learning how to operate at your absolute limit of accuracy and speed. So you learn where that is, you learn how to find it, and you train at that limit, and you compete at 95% of that limit, ideally. So when you're trying to get good at steel, you want to be shooting fast enough that you are missing targets occasionally. So like you don't want to be taking your time. If you're hitting everything every time, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. But if you're just flailing, you're going too fast. So it's finding that balance and just basically doing that and operating in that margin of the edge of your ability, the edge of control. There's actually a really, really good book called The Talent Code. The author's name has escaped me, but it talks specifically about sports across the spectrum from tennis to flying airplanes, and how important operating in that that razor edge of your capability is to developing. And it's a decision, and that's what makes steel unique is you decide to go fast. So you have to make that decision to operate at a speed that challenges you. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So in training, would shooting at smaller targets be beneficial, or would that be a detriment considering your actual steel is much bigger?
I would just shoot at the steel that you would use in competition. I'm kind of a proponent of that. I don't think shooting at smaller steel will hurt you necessarily, but a big part of it is understanding where that limit is, and seeing it in a competition is particularly important. So you're shooting and you go like, okay, this is where I'm at today. So 95% of that is safe. And so your limit is different if the targets are smaller. So it can be difficult to get used to finding it and noticing where your edge is.
That makes sense. I was just curious, like, I'm just going to keep shrinking targets. Eventually you'll get that accuracy. I was curious if you thought there was a correlation between the smaller target and speed going together.
I've never tried it myself. I won't invalidate it as a training method. Yeah.
Kind of seems like something that would be more useful if you're trying to train accuracy than if you're trying to train speed, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it was aim small, miss small is kind of my thought behind it.
Yeah, but I think the point isn't, correct me if I'm wrong here, Trysten, with Steel Challenge, isn't the point to just go fast? You're not trying to aim small, miss small, or anything like that. You're just trying to see how quickly you can go. You hit the outside corner of the target is just as valid as hitting the center of the target.
Yeah.
Is that have I got that right?
Yeah, you have. And that's kind of a thing that we're when we're trash talking each other, we've sort of referred to hitting the very edge of the target as our creative process. And so, you're just, you protest a shot. You're like, no, I scraped the edge of it. You go down range and there's like a little sliver of copper jacket on the edge of the plate and it still counts.
I'd be creative as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd still be slow though.
Yeah. I mean, it's, the one unfortunate thing that I've noticed getting faster is you don't notice your own speed. So you never impress yourself because you just get used to operating at whatever your limit is. So that basically from the day you start, if you shoot a fast string or an average string, feels exactly the same once you're like top of the world, a fast string or an average string. Like you can't really perceive your own speed. It's kind of unfortunate.
So when you're practicing that, are you practicing with other people for objectivity to tell whether that was a good day, or are you using beep counters, shot counters?
Timers. Yeah, we're using timers.
Okay. It's interesting. You lose all your objectivity on it. That's neat.
Yeah.
So then do you look for external validation then? Like after you're done, you turn around and if people's jaws are on their chins, you're like, okay, I was fast.
That's a personal question if I've ever heard one, Derek.
No, all the time. I crave the validation of a good string.
You know, Trysten, just be happy with who you are. You're a good person. You don't need others, or you don't need a shot timer to validate you as a person.
Chris is going to start sending you 4:30 a.m. texts now.
I am. That's right. I'm going to send you daily affirmations.
I look at my shot timer and it's like, you are good enough. And I'm like, thank you.
My affirmation.
You need to get a what's it called, a ribbon printer, whatever those little things. What are those things
label
called?
maker.
A label maker, and put that across the top of the LED screen on your shot.
Gilmore, you're
suck. You suck, jackass.
Exactly. Well, my range box that I carry all my ammo in and stuff has a picture of a flaming dumpster and it's labeled stage plan. So that's,
Well,
they're gonna come up with emotional support timers right away.
Yes,
I could make those. I absolutely could make those.
Preloaded with your
life.
Yeah, preloaded with my affirmations.
I got one more question for me here at least. You obviously shoot a lot of different shooting sport disciplines.
Yeah.
What are the top 2 transferable skills that you think kind of transcend the different shooting sports that you can kind of carry over to other sports?
That's a great question. The first one, the really important one, is just time spent under competition stress. You get like, it's, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face or the timer goes off. And it's, you just become an idiot as soon as that beep happens. So it's kind of, or the clay target comes out. So exposing yourself to that is hugely important and absolutely translatable across sports. Getting a more specific skill, I would say, particularly between like speed rifle disciplines, IPSC, and especially steel challenge, coming from an international skeet or Olympic skeet background. So Olympic skeet shooters, their whole thing is sight pictures, creating sight pictures quickly. And that is what's made me personally who I am in steel, because my first shots are probably 0.2 of a second faster than anybody else in the world. And that's just like, I gain like a second on every string or every stage, just from my first shots. And so the skill that's been developed in shotgun of slamming gun in your face and it being exactly where it needs to be is probably the biggest mechanical translation across sports that I have experienced.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I'm always curious to see those intersections of skill. Like I know I talked to somebody and it was a pinstriper, and he actually was previously a welder, and he says actually a lot of
interesting
this a lot of this was transferable skills, and I thought that was really interesting that essentially an industrial art form to an actual art form, and he was able to explain like carry over there. So
Trysten, if there's one thing that we haven't talked about so far tonight that you want the world to know, what would it be?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really interesting. Yeah.
it can be in relation to, shooting if you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Oh, I think, are we losing Tristan? I think we've lost his.
Maybe.
Oh no,
Or he's just
Are you there,
giving us
buddy?
his blue steel look.
Yeah, he's staring at me. I see him staring at me. Are you there, Tristan?
Oh, that's a deep question.
Oh man, sorry, you're lagging so bad. Oh shit.
Oh no. Oh, he might be back.
Man, he was in deep thought about that
No,
answer too.
I
It was
think
gonna be
Vanya might have a lead on it. Says ask him about his cars.
Says axe him.
Ask him.
ask him about his cars.
Yeah, maybe Vanya was the Italian accent then.
Ask him to tell you about the cars he parks in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you trying to do Brooklyn and then ended with Boston?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all part of the same region. It's East Coast, Northeast
Mhm.
Coast.
No, Boston and New York are two very different accents.
Yeah. Cars, garage. That's all Boston.
But you started with New York.
Yeah, I said axe. That's okay though.
Mhm.
There
I'm
we
glad
go.
that we were able to fill that air while Tristan was coming back in. How's your internet
about
now,
that.
Tristan?
Terrible, apparently. Okay.
The snow will do that.
Yeah, so I pulled off my Wi-Fi, so I'm on cell data now, so that it should be better. It should be more stable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it does
that'll
seem-
be. We won't make you waste all of your data. We were
Mm.
kind of wrapping up with the last question of
Mhm.
what do you want the world to know that they don't know that we didn't talk about today?
I think I'm probably talking to a community that already knows this, but I think I want people to know that all shooting sports are fun, and you should try as many of them as you can and introduce people to them. Um, just get out there, experience the community, learn what is cross trainable, what isn't, what disciplines
Mhm.
complement each other, and just get into it. It's super fun. The people are awesome. The competition is awesome, and it's a sport that you can do your entire life.
Mhm.
So yeah, just maybe the listeners of this podcast already know that, but just spread that word, I guess.
And maybe if you live in Eastern Canada and actually make a decision, make good choices on April 28th.
Please God.
Yes, that.
Yes,
that.
that too.
Because I dare say the West is already on lock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Do it
it's
so I can stop
all up
fighting
to
with everyone.
these granola eating,
Go.
avocado toast
Embrace it.
ordering,
Go.
fucking grande venti latte drinking, haiku writing motherfuckers out east.
I actually I'll add something to that. And people
Please do.
there's a common sentiment that I've heard across different gun bans, and it's like, oh, my gun survived, I'm good.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, shooting sports are important, and particularly relevant to Olympic sports is there aren't that many Olympic discipline shooters. So just because your sport survived doesn't mean that the gun club that you're training at does, because those clubs need recreational shooters to keep their doors open. And
Yeah.
recreational shooters, they are the entire industry. So even if just your hunting rifle is all you care about, well, maybe you zero your gun at a public range. Maybe you want to go shoot sporting clays or whatever. Those clubs depend on the larger community. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, that community uses guns that are under threat from orders in council and etc. So even if your gun isn't affected, likely the club that you like to shoot at is. So don't ignore the issue at hand.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Agreed.
that makes a lot. Yeah, I'm agree. I could add more, but
I can
wouldn't
tell
be
you're a
worth-
I can tell you're a little salty right now, Chris.
No, I'm not salty at all. No, I
Mm.
completely agree with what he's saying. I would like to add more to it, but anything that I add would not make the point any more salient.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm not going to.
There's only so much. So
we need
Yeah.
to get this election over with. The people around the office have put up warnings on my door. Approach with caution. Yeah.
Really? They're putting that on your door?
Oh, yeah. Don't come in here unless you want a dose of truth.
You're hilarious. Hey, Kurt, can I talk to you about that contract that we got that's renewing next month? I'll
Which
tell
way
you
you
what,
voting?
that fucking carny.
I'm gonna get T-shirts made up like in my my name there, Mog, MOGG. Mean old grumpy guy. That's me now. Apparently,
is that what that stands for?
Gotta get T-shirts.
Kurt, we got to redesign another ballistically speaking shirt, and we got to have a Mog shirt.
Yeah, I think
so. Oscar chimes in, if they things go like Olympic handguns did, they'll ban all shotguns not to be used by Olympic shooters, and you'll have to spend $15,000 to even try the sport.
Yeah.
I do have a story on that. I wanted an exemption, a handgun exemption. And I thought of most people in the world, I felt like I fit the criteria of a high performance or elite athlete. And even being a member of, the Shooting Federation of Canada. And I was like, can I get a pistol exemption? And they just went, nope. And the reason being, I'm not currently paying a coach and I'm not currently competing in an Olympic discipline. I'm like, well, I don't have a gun to do it with. And they're like, too bad.
Yeah,
so
that sounds pretty accurate.
The handgun ban does include people who want to shoot internet or Olympic sports.
Yeah.
And that was the Shooting Federation of Canada that said no, or the government that said no?
Basically under the policy of the government, the Shooting Federation had to say no. They didn't want to say no, but they were given a set of criteria that someone looking for an exemption would have to satisfy. In order to
they can only approve who they're told to approve.
Yeah, exactly. So they said no, but they didn't want to say no.
Oh, I thought it was like, no, we're just not helping anybody. I'm like, well, that's kind of pointless as a federation to throw people under the bus.
The federation wants the shooting sports to grow. The federation has every interest in them growing.
Yeah.
But as the governing organization responsible for issuing these exemptions, they're being very specifically instructed with a set of criteria to satisfy before they issue an exemption.
Yeah, they're being hamstrung.
Yeah.
Well, and with all of that happiness, maybe we should take a 30-second roundtable to say something that we're thankful for. This will be a good exercise. I think.
Boy, you caught me on a bad day.
This will be fantastic. Mike, you start first.
I am thankful for turkey. No, wrong holiday.
No, it's the right holiday. You could always be thankful for turkey.
Yeah, you know what? Turkey. Good enough.
Fantastic. I love it.
Hey, sometimes that lean ground turkey too is a nice change up for those tacos or burritos.
Goes great in chili also.
Yeah, also
goes great in chili. Rooster, I'm looking for you, buddy.
You know what? Personally, I am grateful for you, Chris, for all your daily affirmations. I wouldn't be the man I am today without those. It's
I'm going to actually start sending you daily affirmations.
Right there.
I'm going to send you your first one tonight.
Oh.
It'll be there because I know what time you go to bed. It'll be there when you wake up in the morning.
Careful what you wish for. You remember, I get up somewhere between 4 and 4:30.
Oh yeah, but mine will be on silent, and I'm going to send it to you sometime around 11:30 tonight when you're already asleep. So it'll be there when you wake up, not when I wake up.
Well, Trysten, we have drugs for those things.
What do you have me for, Trysten?
I'm happy for the tasteful trash talk of my competitors and my friends at gun clubs.
Wait a minute. Are you insinuating that there are some that are trash talking you not so tastefully, and this is your way of like getting back at them? Or
no, it's got
everybody's
be creative. It's got to be creative, and it's got to be like good. Like
you didn't want to say that tonight has been traumatic. correctly. No,
Yes.
I'm thankful for my friends in the community and and for how much fun it is to heckle each other while we're shooting.
Yes.
Fantastic.
100%.
That is definitely something thankful in the rimfire world as well.
And how they've kept you out of the folly of marital bliss. Domestication is not good for you.
It saved me from an addiction of racing cars, so that would have been.
Oh, you saved a ton of money then.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you guys at the risk of sounding like a shill, and just to point out the opportunity that you guys missed, I'm thankful for Call Sign 66, Ribstone Gunsmithing, Mark Scopes Canada, Apex Optics, EM Precision Rifles, Bolt Action Coffee, Odell Engineering, and Sterling Arms International, and fantastic guests every single week, like Trysten Routledge.
Yes.
In our defense,
you
all
skipped
given
over me there,
every
Chris.
day.
Yeah, that's true. I did, Derek. Mic drop. I win the contest.
Passive aggressive.
Okay.
We've been meaning to talk to you about something, Derek. We'll catch up after the show.
We'll catch up after the show. So with all of that, guys, thanks everybody for tuning in and watching. Just a real quick word. Folks, working the YouTube grind pays less than a solar project at Blizzard. Solar project in a Blizzard. I thought that was a game reference for a second. It's not. So if you want to support the show directly, head on over to storydknives.com or cdnprecision.com and pick up one of our Gardner knives. We think it's one of the best survival type / everyday fixed blade knives available for a very reasonable cost. We're pretty proud of it. So please have a look at a great knife and pick one up for yourself. We're confident it'll be on your side for a lifetime. And as always, a massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we wouldn't have a show in the first place. That also includes our listeners, by the way. And we are talking about people like Shane, Steve, Miles, Carey, and Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil, Doug, Nisa, Vanya, and Carly, Oscar, and JR. Thank you all, an immeasurable amount. Trysten, thank you for coming on and talking to us about shotguns and PCCs and tasteful ribbing and all of the other things that we've talked about for the last hour and 42 minutes. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
And we will see everybody else next week. Hasta luego. Hasta la pasta. Right. Don't get any on you. Yeah, God damn it, if you live in the East, I'm telling you right now, if you don't vote properly out there, I'll give you the what for. We'll see you all next week.
We're already in talks.
Make good choices.
Make good choices.
make good choices out there, people.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS. Ballistically speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.